Greetings, this is Top Hat and Buttered Popcorn. My name is John Savers, I'm your host, and today we'll look at a couple of films, beginning with Chicago. This is a film that was directed by Rob Marshall and stars Catherine Zeta-Jones as one Velma Kelly. Renee Zellweger stars as Roxy Hart. John C. Reilly is Roxy's downtrodden husband, Mr. Hart. And we have Richard Gere appearing as a defense attorney, Billy Flynn, a celebrity attorney, so to speak, for the time. We also have Queen Latifah as Mama Morton, a prison warden. Now, this particular film is set around 1927 in Chicago. And it is, I think, a kind of homage to vaudeville and the old burlesque. The dancing routines are characterized by the vulgar bump and grind style, which Bob Fosse brought to prominence in his theater days. He is no longer with us, but his legacy lives on. To this vulgar bump and grind technique of dance, he brought facility, energy, stylishness, athleticism, and so forth. So at heart, at core, it's just the same old stuff, but he did achieve this a new look, as it were, this remake, as it were, that did give him fame. So, in short, this particular film is a sort of a paean to the point of view, the lifestyle, as it were, of Hollywood and homosexuals in the theater. And we see, in short, a sort of Sodom and Gomorrah blended with West Hollywood. And in this, we have this particular flick. At one point, the character Richard Gere does a song and dance routine sort of reminiscent of the Joel Grey character in Cabaret. It would be very difficult to do better than Joel Grey in that particular flick. But Richard Gere was quite good, I thought, and he does play a kind of Mephistophelian character, trying to get the system to sell its soul to a shyster lawyerism. And he notes in passing that you give the public sizzle, and they won't notice that there's nothing really there. Well, I noticed, did you? At any rate, I also noticed some people walking out of this particular film. I don't think that the people probably liked it as much as the critics. Now, this much ballyhooed film doesn't warrant it any more than the Academy Award-winning Confusion and Pornography known as Traffic. But you know, Hollywood will serve up its awards according to its needs. Also, the fact that Catherine Zeta-Jones is the common-law wife/wife of Michael Douglas couldn't hurt, I suppose. Now, this particular film had other elements from the dancing, and in this we find murder. We find adultery, fornication. We find corrupt legal system, corrupt journalistic system, corrupt prison system. We find lies, deceits, fraud, duplicity, 15 minutes of fameism, shallowness, and I love of that which has no inherent merit. Now, this is all done with stylishness, and it looks good. The production values are pretty good, the lighting and so forth. And we thought that both Richard Gere and Renee Zellweger did better than average jobs in their roles. In fact, I was surprised by Richard Gere. At any rate, this pairing, however, of Catherine Zeta-Jones and Renee Zellweger was, in my view, insane. It was really ill-considered. These are two women with two distinctly different body types. Now, Catherine Zeta-Jones is not quite as intense an actress as Renee Zellweger and cannot bring out the kind of inside power, emotions, and so forth. She can't bring this out, and therefore comes out in a negative way, contrasted to Renee Zellweger in that. But as a dancer, she is alone adequate. She is a woman who looks like a woman. She is even a little voluptuous, and alone can go through a dance routine adequate to the task. Because she's pretty and so forth, and because of the style of this and whatnot, you have a way of overlooking the actual dancing ability. Renee Zellweger, on the other hand, is a very slight kind of woman, small kind of woman, and although she does have definite acting ability, in terms of appearance, she does not stack up well with any of the great film dancers. However, when you pair these two together at the end of the film, as was done, you get a distinctly improved image of the Roxy Hart character in comparison to Velma, because the size makes Catherine Zeta-Jones' character appear heavy-footed and heifer-esque. And it could not have been a worse pairing, in my opinion. But at any rate, it was done. It was a big error. At any rate, this particular film also had anachronisms and improbabilities. In regard to anachronisms, we have a dance routine which John C. Kelly, Riley, performed. He is, again, the downtrodden, mousy almost, husband of Roxy Hart. Perhaps mousy is not a really good word, but he is sort of passive relative to her energetic ambitions and so forth. Apparently loves her, apparently is a good husband and so forth. In this sense, perhaps the only positive character in the film. And he is what is sometimes referred to as a mensch. But he does a dance routine which appears to be a homage to Ralph Ellison's Invisible Man, perhaps so unintendedly, but at any rate, it involves the use of the word cellophane. We see Riley dressed up in a clown image or costuming and makeup. And he does this song and dance routine in which he compares himself to cellophane, that is, he could almost invisible, see-through, and so forth. I don't think that cellophane existed in 1927. I may be wrong, but I believe that the heyday of plastic did not arrive in the 20s or 30s or perhaps even the 40s. I just don't think that cellophane was around, and therefore it would be an anachronism. So there you have it. We have a storyline which is something like this. Velma Kelly, a noted Chicago dancer who dances in partnership with her sister, enraged by her sister's duplicity and adultery with Velma's husband, shoots them both to death. And then goes back to the theater after this and actually does her routine, absent her sister, of course. Now, this is seen by chance by the unknown but very ambitious Roxy Hart, played by Renee Zellweger. She just adores, admires, is starstruck by Velma Kelly, sees her go through a routine and so forth, and just wants to be part of this action. Now, she has stumbled upon a traveling salesman who has managed to convince her that he has friends connected to the theatrical business and that she has a lot of talent and he is sure he can get her a role, get her a chance. And for this, she commits adultery almost right in front of her husband, the John C. Reilly character. Well, she is finally dumped as he gets tired of her, and she gets a gun and shoots the cad. So the event leading to the death of Velma's sister caused Velma to be arrested and put in prison, and she is joined shortly thereafter by Roxy Hart. Now, there have been some journalistic intrusions here. And we see particularly in one woman the presence and also the hint of corruption. Now, at prison, the warden, Mama Morton, Queen Latifah, is portrayed as a fixer, a woman who loves money, who knows some people who can be helpful to the girls outside. And she may also be a woman lover, I don't say for sure. But at any rate, there are implications. Now, in this particular setting, we do see some homage given to contemporary feminist notions about where women should be and their attitude and what it should be and so forth. Now, Roxy Hart has entered. She is still starstruck. She still looks upon Velma Kelly as just a luminary almost, and she's something of a groupie in her approach, almost gape-mouthed. Well, Velma is wanting to get out of prison. She has hired Billy Flynn, the noted defense attorney, to get her out, played by Richard Gere again. And she's really not in the mood for any starstruck nobody like Roxy Hart. It kind of throws cold water on Roxy. Well, Roxy does not give up immediately, but over time she develops a hatred for Velma. She is also turned on to the Billy Flynn attorney, and we see some interaction with Queen Latifah as well, both for the Velma character and the Roxy character. We are given a notion of the legal system as theater and Billy Flynn as its great MC, and in this sense sort of becomes a correlative of the Joel Grey character in Cabaret. He is exceedingly cynical about the whole business, cynical toward the public, cynical toward the people he helps and so forth, but if they got $5,000, he's the man. And he finds in Roxy particularly a person who is into the theater of it all. In fact, she uses her trial, her day in court, as an event actually to boost her to stardom. And with the help of corrupt journalism, this happens. And the people become very much enthralled with this particular woman. And they become sympathetic toward her, and the star system gets her an acquittal. She finds out later, somewhat later, that her 15 minutes of fame is over, and that now she's a has-been. She's sort of irate about that. She can't believe that she could not parlay her fame into a theatrical position and so forth. Well, about this time, Velma gets out also. And she looks up Roxy. Now, Roxy hates her, but Velma needs a dancing partner. And she tells Roxy that there's one profession that if the stars hate each other, it really doesn't make any difference. And this lights up lights in Roxy's head, and they become a pair. And so the film kind of ends with their doing a homage to their lifestyle of murder and mayhem and sex and so forth, license, and it's all made okay by the theater at all, by stylish productions and so forth. Her husband, throughout the film, has stayed loyal to her, and we see him again as a positive element in this film. But what is ironical is that from the point of view of the film, from the perspective of the film, he is the ultimate chump. He's what everyone should not be. He's a loser. He is something like a shadow, something you don't see, a point which he himself made. Again, this film is about sizzle, and as such, it has little in the way of pith, and we can't recommend this particular film.